Hi, I'm Kalyan Karmakar and welcome to Foodocracy Kitchens. Foodocracy Kitchens is where I speak to you about food cooked by people belonging to different communities across India. I live in Mumbai, but I'm going to take you to the east of India today. Not to Bengal, the state which I originally belong to, not to Ahom or Assam or Odisha, which are the two states whose food I've spoken about recently, thanks to home chefs. But today I'm taking you to Bihar. It's an interesting state because it's also called part of the Hindi belt when it comes to politics. So it's sort of a bit of a cusp between the east and the north in Bihar, and of course there's a lot of divergence within the food in the state. But you will see in the food there's a bit of influence of the north which comes in as well. Now it's not easy to get Bihari food in Mumbai. There are no restaurants which really offer it, though there's a sizable immigrant population here. Nor was it offered in Kolkata where I grew up, though Kolkata is the capital of Bengal, which is the neighboring state of Bihar, and there are fair bits of people from Bihar over there. But home chefs, as always, have made a difference. And today's food is from a lady called Rachna Prasad. She's a friend of mine whom I know through the food circuit. And she runs a home chef enterprise called Ambrosia Kitchens. Ambrosia Kitchens is not new, it's about 6 years old. But it's really when the pandemic and the lockdown hit us that she worked really hard, and I think that's when the enterprise also really grew. She's not a trained chef. She said food is her passion, which she's now converted into her profession. And while on peas, she's originally from Patna. Then she worked in Delhi in the Taj Mansingh Hotel in the kitchen for a couple of years. She's been a Mumbai girl for the last 20 years. And Ambrosia Kitchen is where she does food from Bihar. You can get that from the menu, and that's what I did. I ordered from the menu. But there's a lot more. So we had some fabulous Hyderabadi Halim from her a few days back. She does Indian Chinese, she does Indian, European. She's quite the busy bee in the kitchen. Now let me show you what all I've ordered and what we're going to eat. You can't talk about food of Bihar and not talk about the litti choka. It's almost the equivalent of the butter chicken of Punjab or the sushi of Japan or the machhe jhol of Bengal in terms of cliches. But it is popular. In fact, the first time I had it was when I went to Jharkhand a couple of years back, which still recently was a part of Bihar. So I'd gone to Jamshedpur, and I'd gone down from Ranchi airport, driven down to Jamshedpur, drove back. On the way, stopped at dhabas and had some of the food like the dehati chicken and the aloo bhujia, aloo parwal bhujia, and so on. I had litti choka in Jamshedpur, and made by a gentleman called Surendra Kewat on the streets. And this is by Rachna. So this is the litti. I've broken a piece for you to show you. So it's a sort of a baked dumpling, and the outside coating is atta, and inside there's a mix of spices, and there's also sattu, and that's where really the flavor comes in. I'm going to tell you more about that soon. So this is the litti, and then this is the choka. So the choka is basically like a smoked vegetable. This is the baigan ka choka with aubergine. You can also have tomato ka choka with tomato, or aloo ka choka with potato, or sometimes a mix. And it's interesting that variations of this exist across India and definitely in the east. So in Bengal we'd call this begun pora, in Orissa they'd call it a bharta, in Assam they'd call it a pitika, but that's a combination. So you have the litti with the choka, which is made again on a oven, on the streets and coal-fired oven, at home like on regular ones or on the gas stove. And with that you have some sirke wala pyaz, onion, and a chutney. So she's got a amla, gooseberry and pudina mint chutney. I've also had it with a tomato chutney. And it's all spiked with two things. It's spiked with mustard oil, which gives a lot of zest, which is required because it's also, heavy grains in terms of whole wheat and so on. And then there's a lot of ghee. So it's a very nourishing and fulfilling dish. But it's not the same as the dal bati churma of Rajasthan, which this might remind you. The taste is very different. In fact, it's a big part of the local culture. And when I went to Jamshedpur, I met a friend of mine from Twitter, Sandy Raj Singh, and we'd gone together to have litti choka. And he said that in evenings, especially in winter, like families gather together in the outdoors, and they come with little portable ovens. And the men actually do the roasting of the litti and the choka and put it together. And then everyone, the women, the kid, the elders, everyone sits together, and it's actually quite the family binder of a dish. So this is the litti choka. When I placed my order, I spoke to Rachna and took a suggestion on the combinations. So this is another combination, which is the paratha. But it's not just any paratha. I'll show you a bit of the coating. It's our old friend Sattu over here, which in Bengal we used to call chatu. So sattu is basically made with black gram, black chickpea. It's called kala chana, so it's ground together, and it's supposed to be very high on protein and magnesium and all that, and also fiber. It's also supposed to be very cooling. So in summer they make like drinks with based with sattu, and with that there is an aloo baigan with pachforan, which is potatoes and baigan with pachforan, which is a five spice mix which is had across Bengal, Assam, all of that. So you can see the brinjal over here, the potato over here, and then there is the khora, which is the pumpkin. There's a khatta mita khora, so it's pumpkin mashed in with a bit of sweet and tanginess to it, and then there's the chana dal with pumpkin, but it's what we call cholar dal in Bengal. And instead of pumpkin, while it's pumpkin, it's what you might also know as bottle gourd or lauki in it. So very, very nourishing stuff. My mom would really approve it. And the other common binder, whenever I take out any Eastern Indian food, like for example from Assam, Orissa, I think that the element which binds us all together is that of mustard oil, because whenever I open the food, it will taste different from what we eat, perhaps. There will be some differences. But when you open the food, it smells like my mom's kitchen because of the mustard oil aroma. And now I'm going to show you the next course. We saw a combination of paratha and different sabzis and dals, and now it's going to be pulao and curry. So this is the really regal and royal stuff. So this pulao is the gajar ka pulao, and because it's winter, so we got some fresh red carrots in it. And the aromas when I opened the box reminded me of the sort of vegetable pulaus which you'd get in Uttar Pradesh, you'd get in Rajasthan, you'd get in Punjab. So I think that this is where the northern influence comes in, because this pulao is a very sort of middle Hindi belt vegetarian sort of pulao. The aromas of ghee in it are very rich. And then there's a dish called the boot besani. So little dumplings of besan or gram flour in a curry over here. So even the curry's got a bit of flavor of the gram flour. In case you're wondering whether it's the same as the gatte ka sabzi of Rajasthan, yes and no, because the gatte is made with gram flour dumplings. But here the mustard taste and aroma and of the oil is far more prominent. Also the curry is browner and richer because of the garam masala and chili than the gatte ka sabzis which I have had in Rajasthan, which tend to be a bit paler or a bit yellow in color. So the boot besani is something Rachna said which you have with the pulao when you want something vegetarian. And now for some surf and turf. So this is the dehati chicken, which literally means country chicken, and I had this in dhabas both ways while going from Ranchi to Jamshedpur and the other way back. And over there they use free range chicken. In Mumbai, of course, it's poultry, but it's also called dehati because it's fresh ground spices. It's got a use of mustard oil, it's slow cooked, it's got ghee, and it's sort of dish which really talks to your heart. And then there is the sarso machli, which is fish cooked in mustard. And what's interesting is that it's different from the Bengali shorshe mach, because the Bengali shorshe mach is yellow in color and more use of turmeric, more use of mustard. But this is darker, this is browner, there's more chili, there's more garam masala, but the taste of mustard is very prominent. The fish used over here is rohu, and this is the smaller size rohu. So Rachna told me that rohu and katla, which is freshwater carp, is what is well loved in Bihar and is loved in Bengal as well. I got to know about the Bihari connection a few years back when I had a colleague in Mumbai. His name was Ijaz Mirza, and we were both together in a market research agency. And he'd moved into Mumbai and he saw that I'm Bengali and he said, "Where do I get rui katla from?" So I said, "Oh, you like rui katla?" He said, "Yeah, that's the main fish in Bihar." So for me, that was an eye opener. So I love all these interactions and getting to know more about Indian food. And then for dessert, there's cookie. No, not of the cookies and cream sort, but it's something called the thekua. So again, like the viti, it's made with whole wheat flour. So it's not refined flour, so it's healthier. And it's sweetened with jaggery. And it's got fennel seeds inside. So that's the bite gives it a very distinguishing taste. And what's interesting is that Rachna hasn't made it too sweet. So the sweetness is quite restrained and muted. So often folks from the Western world find Indian sweets a bit high on sweet to this thing. So this is like a power pack thing. It's not too sweet. Got a bit of jaggery. It's got whole wheat, fennel, lovely aroma to it, and it reminds me a bit of those little sweet shops in Kolkata, which we used to call the Hindustani sweet shops, where you get malpuas and so on with fennel sweets in it. And also, like Kenas pointed out, it's a bit like the Gujarati and the Parsi bhakra, the biscuit, which is over there. So that's what we're going to eat, I think, over lunch, dinner. I'm going to have the paratha for lunch and the sabzis. I'm going to have the liti choka in the evening, and remember my Jamshedpur evenings. And I'm going to have the pulao and the chicken and the machli and the besan curry and all that for dinner. So thanks, Rachna, for presenting your home food to all of us. I know that perhaps commercially doing North Indian, Chinese, European might make more sense, but this way one gets to know the food of Bihar, the food of your community, your culture, your tradition. And that's what home chefs do, and that's what's been making our tables so much richer. So folks in Mumbai, if you want to get a taste of Bihari food, then one home chef you can look at is Rachna Prasad, and her enterprise is called Ambrosia Kitchen. She is on Instagram and everywhere over there, so do check her out.